Going to start yet another new series today. Always putting forth the effort to bring new content to you. First off, as always, thanks for listening. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really means a lot. I'm also putting a lot of time into the Facebook page, so just look up the Last Wave podcast. Look for the 8-bit bearded guy image, same as the YouTube. I've been posting cool pictures, previews, and articles that I find during my research that I think you guys will enjoy. All right, so to jump in this new series, we've got, I decided to tackle what I consider one of the top three biggest conspiracies, the moon landing. So this is going to be mainly opinion based, I would say. So be aware of that. I'm not going to give you a bunch of math about camera trajectory and lighting angles and all that shenanigans. So let's get into it. All right, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface in July of 1969, allegedly. Now, basically, since it happened, there have always been rumors and murmurs that it never actually happened. Throughout the years since, there have been ample movies, books, and TV shows regarding, mentioning, or spoofing the moon landing. People often mention movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey and Capricorn 1 as examples as to how a moon landing could be filmed and made to look real. Now, I haven't seen Capricorn 1, but I have seen bits and pieces of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you could definitely see how the technology of that era, as far as filmmaking, could definitely make it look real. Can make it look like they're actually there. Honestly, 2001: Space Odyssey looks somewhat more real. So, but you have stories of that over the years of Hollywood working in tandem with the government agencies to not use certain technology. I know a big thing right now is CGI and facial reconstruction. Basically, they can put on TV what looks like Obama, Trump, Putin, and have them saying, "I hate America," this, and this, and this. Let's start a war, and you would never know. It would look just like them, sound just like them, and you see in movies, you can always just tell just a little bit that it's not real. Other than it being a movie, and it's not real, you can always tell just a little bit. So it does seem that there is a dividing line that they won't let companies cross as far as what they can use in the media and in movies of that nature. So just a little something to keep in mind. This has been going for a pretty good long time. There are far too many videos online to list that deal with this to list them. You can do your own research into that a little bit, and you will know why this series that I'm doing is named Into the Rabbit Hole. And that's a term in conspiracy circles if you've never heard it. You get dug into a research topic and you just keep digging and digging, and you always find a new rock with a new little piece of evidence buried under it. So that's where the term comes from. You will quickly spiral into thousands of videos showing what was fake regarding the landing. Again, people claim the lighting was wrong, which I can agree on that. Some of the angles definitely don't make sense. There are no stars in the background, which that got me, of course. That they claim that's cameras of that age and lighting tricks wouldn't pick them up and all that shenanigans. So you've got the flag that they planted. Was it moving or not moving, or should it have been moving? Some videos show what looks like wires, very small, thin wires attached to the backpacks to simulate supposed lunar gravity. If you see some of the pictures that show astronaut helmets, you can see things in the reflection that could be boom mics or lights. I mean, there's all kinds of visuals, all kinds of pictures. One that I remember and wish I knew the name of it, but it literally a smoking gun video to me. And it's not recent, but it's within the 2000s. And it basically shows a soldier or someone taking President Bush Sr. on a tour of a command room or something in NASA, rolling him around in a wheelchair, just showing him different stuff. Well, on the big wall of screens and monitors and things of that nature, you can clearly see one monitor showing an astronaut in space, using air quotes. He appears to be floating in what should be the ISS or a space capsule or something of that nature. However, he's definitely just floating around in front of a green screen. Like it is super obvious. Like it's terribly obvious. If I can find the video and dig it up, I will link it on the Facebook page or in the comment section. So that one that one just killed me. There's also different videos you can find where the green screen effects don't really match up. Like you'll see an astronaut going around the corner of the ISS floating around, and like there's image blurring at the edges or something of that nature. I'm not real technical on that, but there's definite, image quality issues for sure. Now, I will tell you outright, I don't trust or believe in trusting government organizations. I won't get into that because there's enough of that these days, and I don't want any politics on my podcast. That's something I'm really going to try to shy away from. So one thing that people may find interesting, and I saw this a year or two ago, is if you take the NASA logo, I mean, just as it is with the big, you got, I don't know if it's a spaceship or something in the middle, and you got this red swoosh type kind of thing. Well, if you take a snake head and you Photoshop, you take a snake head and put it at the single pointed end of the NASA logo where the swoosh is, it looks exactly like a snake tongue coming out. It's the craziest thing. Definitely look that up. I'll try to find that and post that to the Facebook page as well, because that's definitely a picture you need to see. That's biblical, I guess, but the serpent, you know what it is. So, but I think it was a really, really cool picture. I can't believe nobody's ever figured it out until someone did. Can't believe that's never been seen until someone actually did see it, and they're like, oh my god. All right. So back to the topic at hand. NASA has attempted to debunk hoaxers over the years, but most of those efforts fell flat, even openly admitting at times that they can only get so far into the atmosphere. There was a really famous video of a guy explaining. He had like a marker. He was drawing on a clear board, basically just explaining how travel works at certain ranges. And he was explaining what the Van Allen radiation belt can do to astronauts, and how we can't actually get through it because of the effect on humans. Now the moon is past that, and he was saying the radiation was so intense, like if you closed your eyes while you traveled through it, you would basically see shooting stars in like across your eyes. Like that's how bad the radiation was. So if we can't get through that, how did we, supposedly get through it? So again, all these videos and plenty more are on YouTube. Those are just a couple of my favorite, the ones that I've seen. There's also a funny little picture of a prop rock labeled with the letter C. I found that during my research for this episode. It is apparently pretty normal in movies for props to be labeled for inventory purposes. They have an A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3 written on them, or carved into them if they're plastic or foam. And this picture literally shows a rock with the letter C carved into it. It is unmistakable. It's not something nature can do, especially when there's supposed to be like no real winds on the moon. It's definitely a letter C. It was pretty crazy. NASA said it wasn't there, and that a small hair probably happened to get on the machine while copying or getting the images ready. Yeah, that was the actual NASA explanation for it. Every now and then, NASA will put out a picture or some evidence proving they did land on the moon, including pictures that are actually only rendered from 3D images. From the Selene satellite, saying that it was the same landscape captured there. Oh, sorry. There was actually an image from the Selene satellite. It rendered from 3D, 3D basically scanning. It wasn't an actual picture. Saying that it was the same landscape captured on video that the astronauts captured. Even though the 3D rendered images look like a horribly textured video game. So, take that as you will. Now, some more notable people who believed the landings were faked and what they suggested were Milton William Cooper was an American conspiracy theorist and author. He believed that all of the Apollo missions to the moon were actually carefully rehearsed productions that were filmed in large sound stages. David Groves works for Quantech Image Processing. He examined the photo of Aldrin emerging from the lander and said that he could pinpoint when a spotlight was used. Using the focal length of the camera's lens and an actual boot, he allegedly calculated using ray tracing that the spotlight is between 24 and 36 centimeters to the right of the camera. This matches with the sunlit part of Armstrong's spacesuit. I said I wasn't going to get into any science, and that's because I straight up did copy that for your information. So, trust me, that was not something I came up with. Jack D. White was an American photo historian known for his attempt to prove forgery in photos of, like the Zapruder film related to the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and he believed that the photos from the moon were faked. There's also some celebrities who question the narrative. Steph Curry actually did until he was invited by NASA to see evidence, then changed his mind, apparently. Whoopi Goldberg posed a good question, and that's actually one that I've wondered for years, and I don't remember where I heard this, but it kind of blew my mind. Who filmed the first steps? If they were the first steps on the moon, who was out there filming them? You see Aldrin coming down the step, saying his famous lines, and then who's out there just hanging out filming them while that's happening? So take that as you will. Now, I think when you honestly look at what was against us then, as far as scientific barriers, technology was absurd. Massive computers running with a few megabytes of RAM, the Van Allen radiation belt, having to time and make every execution perfect down to the minute, when our most brilliant minds of the time, who started the rocket movement a few years prior, were actually German scientists brought over after World War II. That, plus political pressures of the time, the race to get there before other nations, who we didn't really care for, just a lot to piece together and make it happen perfectly. If it did happen, then it was certainly faked in ways. One way I personally say is 100% BS. And this is one of my favorite things, is Nixon's phone call with the astronauts. The actual National Archive website doesn't say much about it, but openly admits that it was allegedly the longest distance phone call ever. So, I mean, there's a picture. I gotta get the picture and post it to the Facebook page, because it's ridiculous. Nixon is sitting there on the telephone in the Oval Office talking to the astronauts. Right. That's what I said. This is one of my favorite images in conspiracy theories ever. It doesn't really get enough buzz, ironically. Like, I can't go 2 miles out into the North Carolina countryside before I lose cell phone coverage. But he's up there chit-chatting to the guys on the moon and in spaceships. Malarkey is what I'm calling it. There's no way. But, I may sound semi-ignorant to this conspiracy. I know a little bit about nearly every aspect of it, so I couldn't really nail it down for you either way. I honestly don't think we went. Again, everything had to have happened perfectly every time we supposedly went. There are too many similar looking movies around the time frame for me. It makes it look too easy to do and will put us ahead of every other nation. Everything was there for us to be pushed to fake it. We allegedly went with nowhere near the technology that is in a modern cell phone today. But we don't have open travel to the moon currently. It doesn't make sense that we went a few times and we're just like, that's good enough. We've got what we needed. So, I mean, that's my opinion. Sadly, I don't think we went. I wish we would have. I wish we could still go. I wish we had weekend trips up there. If we did go, then a really high amount of what happened has to be fabricated. Maybe we sent people, they landed, they died up there, so we couldn't use that actual footage. I mean, who knows? But either way, that's my spiel on it. That's my take on one of the biggest conspiracies of all time. As always, thanks for listening. Feel free to share your comments, down below. Chat on the Facebook page about it. I'm more than open to open discussions. You can send messages on the Facebook page as well. Again, comments on YouTube are more than welcome. any way you want to chit chat about it. If you've got your own opinions, I'm cool with listening. So, again, thanks for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the Facebook page, and we'll catch you next time.